Hello and welcome to Mississauga Life and Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Jaffrey. I'm joined with my co-host, Alex Stakic. Alex, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, Sean. Thank you very much for asking. How about you?
Hey man, can't complain. Great week. We're in the fall season right now. We're at about 20 degrees coming up this Saturday. The weather's beautiful, so I really can't complain about anything.
Absolutely.
Okay,
beyond
great.
Definition, right?
So let's talk about a few things here, Alex. The market is constantly changing and there's always going to be hot topics to be discussed. I think a few things that we're going to tackle today would be some of the things that have come out of the monetary policy report from the Bank of Canada. We'll talk about, mainly about pre-construction sales, how they've slowed down and why. At this point right now, that is something that we need to kind of keep our eye on because it could have a potential ripple effect on a lot of other factors of daily life. So let's get started with the monetary policy. So the monetary policy has been released by the Bank of Canada. It talks about downgrading the inflation forecasts over the next 3 years. So, we have had a couple of rate hikes, and I think what they're targeting to do is to control inflation with those rate hikes. So it's expected that, this year we were around, we went up as high as 8.1%. They're trying to bring it down all the way to 4.1% for the next year, 2023. And by 2024, we're looking at 2.2% inflation. So, Alex, I'm guessing that by the time we reach maybe 4% next year is when we're going to start seeing the easing of the interest rates from where they are today. I mean, that would just make sense to me.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you, Sean. My opinion about that is same, but we have to be aware that it will not go, side by side. Most probably, bank will reduce, by these rates and inflation rates. Bank will wait for 2 or 3 months minimum to see what's going on with the market, and then based on these calculations and predictions, they will maybe start slowly, not rapidly, reduce the mortgage rates.
Yeah,
so I don't have a crystal globe, but probably it will go November, December next year. I don't believe it will be earlier.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be surprising to see the same pattern where they would, decrease the rate by 0.5, then wait 2 months, and decrease another 0.5. That sort of pattern seems to be kind of in line with what they're doing. So GDP growth models predict. Earlier, they predicted the models that we were going to do 3.5% in GDP growth, but now they're saying 0.9%. And that's important to note because based on these numbers, this is what policies are made on, right? Where money is going to be spent, whether it's in education or healthcare or whatever it is. So this number here down from 3.5%, but that's what we're predicting so far from the Bank of Canada. Now, coming to the pre-construction market, we touched upon this in the last podcast a little bit. It is something to be noted because there are several major reasons why a slow pre-construction sales, whether it's condos or whether it's single family homes, is going to have somewhat of an impact on on the market. So new condo sales are down 88% year over year in September. And single-family homes, 88%. That's right, yeah. And single-family homes are down 96%. I mean, that's like they've come to a halt virtually, right?
Yes.
In the metro region of 6 million people, only 45 new single-family homes sold last month, right? That is
it's pretty shocking.
Crazy. It's shocking. And if you think about it, when you're talking about new single-family homes, we're not thinking about Mississauga because there's no land left to build in Mississauga. It's all condos here. We're really looking at Brampton, Oakville, Milton, all these other suburbs. But yeah, they're 96%, 45 new single-family homes only sold, right? So there's a couple of, the long-term effects for this we can talk about. This means fewer housing starts down the road, right? Meaning less supply. And what happens when we have less supply? We've already experienced that for the last couple of years. But this just means if nobody's buying pre-construction properties right now, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, there's a shortage of supply. And we know that the immigration targets have become aggressive. 700,000 people this year, I think 500,000 people next year. question is, where do we house them? What are we going to do at that point?
And not only that, keep in mind, if we are looking at the numbers from last year pre-construction deals, 25% of all purchasings last year was from the investors, and investors are buying either resale properties or they are buying pre-construction properties. But usually every year we have maybe 10% of them all overall with their contribution in the real estate deals, and last year it was 2.5 times more than average.
Yes.
Now, where these buyers are, where these investors are, and definitely they don't see themselves in this picture with these mortgage rates and predictions, because all of them they're buying with the common sense they want to make a profit. And I know that we have in some other calculations that average investor has 4 or 5 properties. Now we're coming to the point how they will refinance these properties in coming years. So this is one of the factors why investors are not on the market. So who will drive the economy? Who will drive the pre-construction business? What will do with the labor with the people who are in this industry? And you know that we have about 8% increase or decrease, 2-3 points up and down with the people in GTA, and 2% of labor force is contributing to this industry all over the Canada, what is not even close like in USA.
No, you're absolutely right.
So this is some effect, long-term effect. If you don't have investors, if you don't have buyers, if you don't have supply, people are coming from abroad, like immigration, less supply, huge demand. Probably again we're coming to the same point. The rental market will be hiking like crazy.
Well, it already is hiking like crazy, and it feels like it's going up every month when you look at the different rental rates.
Absolutely.
On that topic, I joined this Facebook group, Alex. I don't know if I told you, but this is basically it's a group for landlords and tenants. And so, anybody who's having an issue, whether it's the landlord, whether it's the tenant, they post their concerns. Hey, you know what? My landlord raised my rent by this much, or I have a tenant and he hasn't paid rent in 6 months. What do I do? And one thing I observed over and over again was people saying that the cases in the landlord and tenant board are backed up for a year. So if you have a problem with the landlord or with the tenant, you're looking at a year before there's any sort of resolution. So yeah, the rental market is absolutely nuts right now. So touching upon what you were talking about with the construction industry making up about 6 to 7% of the job market. Actually, it might even be 8% last year. So now when people stop investing in real estate, when the home equity line of credits are not available anymore, yes, you have people who are not investing big chunks of money, like 20% into new construction projects, but you also have people who are now not renovating. They're not taking that line of credit to renovate the kitchen or build the basement or whatever that is. And that affects the total job market. So just in construction alone, if you're looking at 7 to 8% of employment, seeing the numbers that we're seeing right now going forward, you're looking at roughly about a 2% decrease in all jobs in Canada because there's no more new investment coming into pre-construction. So that's quite a big number there. Now,
absolutely.
The second point to note, and we talked about this briefly, was that there's going to be a negative effect on city budgets. Primarily because about 10% of all of the city's income comes from land transfer taxes and development costs. We've been noticing that the development costs, especially for new construction, has been going crazy. I remember when development costs were like $5,000. It used to be $5,000, $3,000 to $5,000 the norm. And then I heard of a project recently where somebody had to close with a development cost of like $20,000, $25,000 on a new construction project. So now that's not going to be coming in. Cities are going to have to cut corners somewhere, which means that maybe, some certain services, whether the money going to education or healthcare, it's going to put a hole through that budget for sure.
Absolutely. We are shrinking in regards to that.
And I think another thing of note is that there is a bit of a diminishing liquidity for assignments, right? So majority of pre-construction demand comes from investors. You're looking at speculators. Since values are coming down and demand is coming down, everyone's going to have to kind of hold on to that investment for longer. Typically we would see these people get possession of these investments, of these pre-sale or these pre-construction condos, sell the assignment, get the money, and then as you know, that money comes back into circulation. They buy stuff, they sell stuff. That's not going to happen now. So we've got, basically that part of the circulation, or that circulation of money is going to slow down or stop for the next little while. Yeah.
Absolutely. This
interesting
is
thing. Yeah. Yeah. I came across this Reddit article that I wanted to share with you. I'll quickly skim through it. And the reason why it kind of caught my attention was because it is someone's personal story, and it made me wonder how many people are kind of in the same situation right now with this. So it says here for advice for my family. This is in the Personal Finance Canada comment section. In 2021, my aunt, who is into real estate, convinced my dad to purchase a pre-construction condo using a HELOC. Now, the HELOC is the home equity line of credit, and this was used for the down payment. He came to me wanting to help me buy one to live in the future. I turned him down for a reason. I'm a student, and I wasn't too convinced by the economy. He also made this offer to my brother, who took him up on it. Before he made this decision, we had a good discussion about risks, and I cautioned him that rising mortgage rates could easily lead to a monthly payment he might not be able to afford. Some time passed, and one day I learned that my dad actually signed up for a total of 3 condos. He is splitting one with my brother, one with my aunt, and got one for himself. My dad started quoting some of the things his realtor told him, and some of it was a big red flag for me. I sensed that a bit of gaslighting affected his decisions, but that's another issue. Okay, so he talks a little bit about something else. Then he says, here are some details. Each condo was a little over $600,000 purchased in 2021, right? Skip over a little bit more. I would think my brother could be okay as he has low cost. He isn't paying rent, and he's good with saving money. I think he'd be able to make his closing costs and hopefully qualify for the up to $480,000 mortgage. But depending on how interest rates move, this could be a very expensive bachelor's condo. When he signed up for this, his mortgage rate quotes were closer to 2%, so his payments could double from what he expected. His dad's situation, he is currently almost maxing out his home equity line of credit at prime plus 0.25 of $250,000 with a down payment installments. Say they're 60 plus 60 plus 120, since he's going half on 2 of them. I believe he has emergency funds, but otherwise has no capital to make the to pay down the HELOC. No big debt other than the mortgage, and also makes $70K a year. So the father makes $70K a year, booked 3 condos. I believe his condo is less than 1,400 square feet, but he can't remember exactly. So I wonder, Alex, how many people are currently, we don't know what the exact number is, right? But I wonder how many people are in that situation right now, that they are completely trapped, and now, what's going to happen? Are they going to turn towards private lending to pay this off, or what are they going to do? What's the solution?
Even if the private lending, you hear some limits. So if he's making $70,000 first, I don't know how it was possible that he was buying 3 condos. No matter you're buying with somebody, or you're buying on your own, or you're buying with your son. But I think he's a big risk taker, and probably he was expecting. He's actually not investor. His father is speculator. He wants to make quick money, hoping in 2 or 3 years market will go on like it's going in 2021. And he was one among these 25% of investors last year. Solution. I don't want to sound, pessimistic, but it will be very hard with his income to do so.
So my question is, I don't know if you've
7.
ever come across a situation like this, but my question would be, why would the bank let someone take out $250,000 to invest into real estate, knowing that, it's a big risk, and this person makes $70,000? Is that not sort of like predatory lending on the bank's part? This is not, come on, it's not responsible, right?
But when he is approved for his $250,000 HELOC, he can do with that money whatever he wants, right? And bank will not ask you so many questions. But you have to be responsible what you will do with that money and how you manage that money, in what sense you want to spend that money, right? So probably he was happy with some pretty sweet stories from his realtor,
Correct.
family member, who convinced them to buy not one but three.
He really jumped into it. He really jumped into it with both feet. Like, he didn't even try it. He just jumped into it. You know what, Alex? I went on Facebook Marketplace, and I wanted to see what the situation is with assignments these days. What I found was there's people who've got their condos listed. It's coming up for possession in a couple of months, and they're saying, "Hey, I bought it for $600,000, and I'm selling it for $675,000." Right?
Yes.
I just want a $75,000 markup, and you can have it. But I haven't really seen anything so far where somebody's saying, "Hey, I bought it for $600,000. I'm selling it for $550,000." Or I'm selling it at cost. I think right now people who have assignments are still somewhat confident in the market because of the prices they're asking. At least that's what I've seen on the private side on Facebook.
I also noticed that people who have closing in 2 years time, they are now in the market trying to sell and secure themselves, because their expectation is that in even 1 year time they will not be able to sell for the price they can sell right now. For people who have closings in 3-4 months from now, they're in pretty difficult situation, because keep in mind, even for this gentleman here scenario, for every property to close, he has to have 20% down payment. And for these 3 units, 600,000 each, it's 1.8 million. That means that he has to have $360,000 down payment. He has no debt down payment. He definitely has no debt down payment, right? Or he is aware that, or he took a risk, or maybe it was not explained to him if he cannot close that he can lose the deposit. Otherwise, he will be in the situation that he has to drop or to take second lender or even a private lender.
Yeah.
And more and more people will see in coming months to take that solution. But can you handle that for 3, 4, 6 months or not? Especially for the condos, you have occupancy, but from occupancy to closing can be even 1 year.
Yeah, 6 months to a year, right?
Can you manage payments for next 1 year?
Yeah,
This is the question.
You're definitely going to lose some sleep on that. So I think the lesson here is, when you get into this sort of investing, don't start off big. Start with one. See the process. See how it goes. Can you handle the stress, the pressure? And then, if you're good with that, then move on to 2 and 3 and whatever that number is. But I think he bit off more than he could chew. And obviously, whoever it was feeding him wrong information and hyped him up way too much. All the best to him. I hope he figures this out. To end on a different note, Alex, I have something that I think you may like. I have a restaurant recommendation for you. I know
nice.
I know that you're a bit of a foodie, just like myself. So I'm going to tell you about a great restaurant. It's like a diamond in the rough. It's on Lakeshore. The address is 362 Lakeshore Road West, Mississauga. It is in the Lorne Park area. Italian restaurant, Pizza Nostra. They make just pizzas. They don't do any pasta, no chicken wings, nothing like that. All they're doing is pizza. And their pizza is made just one way, thin crust. It takes 10 to 12 minutes for it to get ready. There's something extremely special about the sauce that they use. And I would definitely recommend, if you feel like having a good, authentic Italian pizza, visit Pizza Nostra. I had a good experience. So I've been there so far twice. The first time I took my family there, my kids, my wife, we got in the car. I didn't tell them what it was. I didn't tell them I had heard about this place from, somewhere on YouTube. I just brought them in. We got the pizza. It was a simple cheese pizza with mushrooms. And, we served it in the car. They ate it. I didn't say anything about it. I didn't hype it up. And then I asked them, so what do you guys think about this? Each one of them, unanimously, they said this is the best pizza they ever had. So my recommendation for you, and for anybody who's listening, go to Pizza Nostra. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. 362 Lakeshore Road West, Mississauga.
Oh, I will do that as soon as possible. You know, I like Italian food.
All right.
Especially pizzas. So, yeah, why not? I will try. And I will give you my honest review about that place and about the food.
Okay, you know what, Alex? How about this? How about you try out this restaurant in the next 7 days, and next time you hop on this podcast, you give me an honest review on Pizza Nostra.
Of course, I will do it for sure.
Awesome. Okay,
I will make some recordings as well, and let's see. Of course.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback.
Of course, man. No problem.
All right, great.
Thank you very much for your time today, and
thank you for joining
next week.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys all next week and get Alex's feedback on Pizza Nostra. Have a good day, Alex.
See you, man. Same to you. Bye-bye.